Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video. Going to have a look at the weather next week to 10 days for today's video. It's taking us to around the 9th or the 10th of February. So we're going into the final month of winter, of course, with this update. Only a couple of days left, actually, for January, just today and tomorrow. So we'll have a look and see what models are predicting for the first sort of week, 10 days of February. And we'll have a look at CFS V2 for the next month as well. But I want to begin by showing you the stratospheric temperature forecast of the GFS model for into February from the midnight run. This has since updated to 6 o'clock run, but I'll show you what happened on the midnight run of the GFS. In the extended range, so we're starting on the 7th of February. These blue colours are the cold temperatures that we've got in the stratosphere over the North Pole at the moment. But as we run through, what the midnight run of the GFS did was start to generate this major warming of the stratosphere around Greenland and the North Atlantic, and then really developed that into a major southern stratospheric warming. That is a very, very significant warming event that the GFS is predicting there around the 13th to the 15th of February. That is a complete sort of destruction of the polar vortex at its roots. So that is a very major warming event indeed. I think that's the biggest warming event that the GFS model has seen so far this winter. And again, it all happens in just a few days. That's how things look on the 9th and the 10th of February. But by the 12th and 13th, look at that, all the blue colours have gone. The reds and oranges have infiltrated right into the pole. That's at 10 HPA. It takes a little while to move that warmth down into the troposphere, which is the boundary level of the atmosphere where weather is taking place. But a few weeks on from that, we could be looking at some extensive northern blocking setting up if that develops. And of course, that's a big question, because this is the 6 o'clock run of the GFS. Again, this is very later, and again, we're starting on the 7th of February. There's those blue colours in over pole. This one does generate some warming around Greenland and the North Atlantic, but nowhere near to the same extent. So a much weaker warming event of the stratosphere taking place there compared to what we saw on the midnight run. It's interesting that the GFS is going for that, but we've been here before this winter with the GFS trying to develop southern stratospheric warming. Never quite to that sort of level though, but we have been here before with the extended range of the GFS trying to generate these warmings. So we're just going to have to wait and see whether this develops any further, and whether the ECWS starts to pick up on it as well. It could be that the GFS was off on a tangent with that idea. But if you're waiting for a southern stratospheric warming, that is the kind of thing you want to be seeing with those warm red and orange colours getting right way into the top of the pole. Right, coming back to the next week to 10 days then. These are the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles. Next couple of weeks, the red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average. We're starting around here. We're still a little bit milder than average today, but we're going to be going colder over the next couple of days. Then it gets a little bit milder around Friday before temperatures again drop into the weekend and the start of next week. Overall, it does look like quite a cold week coming up, but this isn't real easterly type cold. You'll see that now we've lost most of the ensemble members that were going down to this sort of level a few days ago. Those were the ensemble members that were bringing in the bitterly cold easterly winds. It doesn't look like we're going to get those cold easterly winds. Never say never with the weather, but generally, I think next week the risks of those easy winds have been very much reduced. It's quite a low risk that it will come off anyway, but the risks have been reduced more, I think, by the models recently. But it does look like weather will still be quite cold, and it'll be the same sort of cold that we've had all winter, really, coming in from the North Atlantic, so kind of like a polar maritime type cold sort of temperature, as opposed to anything truly Arctic or Siberian. So yes, there could be some wintry weather coming up at times. There are precipitation spikes to be had, some there, and again more through this period just here where we have got these colder than average temperatures. So definitely some wintry potential will be in there around the middle part of this week. Tomorrow there might be some wintry showers, and then again at times next week there might be some wintry potential, but probably not the true easterly winds that it looked like we might get a couple of days ago. Temperature anomalies for next week, going from the 30th of January to 7th of February, coming out a little bit cooler than average now, so these are cooling down gradually. Again, we're not talking about deep freeze cold, but certainly becoming a little bit cooler now from the 30th of January to the 7th of February. Precipitation anomalies are looking like that. Overall, average too for eastern parts of the country, a little bit drier than average, perhaps a bit surprisingly when you look at that ensemble, but bear in mind, most precipitation spikes aren't huge, and it is typically quite a wet time of the year. So, I mean, there is going to be some showery weather at times, and some of that could be a bit wintry, but we're not talking about an extended spell of exceptionally wet weather. This is how the GFS is looking then. So, on Saturday, we're bringing down quite a cold northwesterly wind, and then as we go through into Sunday, the wind turns into the north. So it will be quite a cold weekend, not setting up an easterly, but quite a cold weekend, and certainly for northern parts of the country, there could well be some wintry showers. Now, on Monday, we're still having a go at getting that high pressure going over Scandinavia. So again, we're not a million miles away from building up that high pressure over Scandinavia for the start of next week. But generally, we keep the winds more from a westerly Atlantic direction. So we're not talking about those easterly winds on this run of the GFS anyway. That ridge that tries to get going over Scandinavia starts to be pushed back quite quickly in towards the west of Russia. And as I explained, yes, it's all really being caused by this area just here around Greenland, which has a very strong polar vortex through the course of next week with those pink and purple colours. Really cold temperatures up there, and that enhances the jet stream and it keeps those westerly winds going across the Atlantic. We're trying to generate a Scandinavian high without getting anything to weaken the area of the polar vortex around Greenland. That's the problem. And it has been a problem throughout much of this winter. We go through to Wednesday, and again we keep the winds flat from a westerly direction. Actually turns a little bit mild through the middle part of next week, just temporarily, and then we're back into those cold northwesterly winds again by day 10, which is Friday the 9th of February. And then more low pressure comes in over weekend of the 10th and the 11th of February, and then eventually turns winds into a direct northerly. So that is bringing proper Arctic air down across the country there on Sunday the 11th of February. We've gone out beyond day 10 now, but by Sunday 11th of February, that is bringing down true Arctic winds. Temporarily, though, and that's quickly cut off as the next low pressure rolls in. We need that sudden stratospheric warming, I think, to really knock this polar vortex on the head, and then we can start thinking about weakening all of these areas of low pressure up here around Greenland. We did that, I suspect we would quite quickly find ourselves trying to build up the Scandinavian high. It's been having a go at building all winter, but it's just never been able to get in properly, similar really to what happened last winter in some ways. So unsettled and quite cold with the GFS as we're going through into the first half of February. This is how the ECMWF is looking again. Quite cold as we're going into next weekend, bringing this area of low pressure in off the Atlantic within fairly cold air. It looks like there's might be a little bit of a stall taking place actually there over weekend. So there is some wintry potential with that. We see that we've got weather front up here at midnight on Saturday, moving into fairly cold air. By midnight on Sunday, that low pressure and its weather front is down here. So obviously it's come across the country and it's kind of stalled and slipped southwards. So to the north and the east of that, there could be a little wintry potential. The GFS isn't showing anything quite like that, but you never know, it may be that the ECM is picking up on something there. The ridge is trying to build over Scandinavia again by Sunday, and that takes us to quite a cold Monday the 5th of February under that ridge. But again, the Scandinavian high can't really build, and what happens is that the Atlantic becomes more dominant through the course of next week. That's how we finish up on day 10, which is Friday the 9th of February. Still keeping winds in from the west, albeit they are quite cold winds, but the flow is generally coming in from a westerly direction. So at least within the first week to 10 days of February there, it looks like we've reduced the risk of getting those easterly winds. It looks like winds will generally be staying from the west, but they are quite cold westerly winds at times, and there will be wintry potential coming through with those westerly winds. Fine, just have a look at charts from the CFS V2 for the next month. So these are 500 millibar heights broken down into week periods. The first week period taking us from the 30th of January to the 5th of February. We've got the trough of below average heights over and to the east of the UK, with a ridge in the southeast of Europe and out in the Atlantic. So we're doing something like that, but flowing with the jet stream for the coming week. Generally, quite a good reflection of what we've just been looking at with the models. Unsettled, but quite cold unsettled, as the air is coming in from a northwesterly direction. Week 2 looks like this. It's the 6th through to the 12th of February, and we've got this ridge out to our west at that point, with the below average heights through central parts of Europe. Again, the jet stream is doing something rather like that, so still just about placing us on the cold side of the jet stream. Notice no easterly winds with that, but winds probably coming in from a northerly or northwesterly direction, so it's hardly going to be mild. And then we go through to week 3, which is the 13th to the 19th of February. Below average heights to our north and also to our east as well. The ridge is pulling out into the central Atlantic, so this is still keeping us on the cold side of the jet, with the jet doing something like that. That could be quite cold and unsettled there through that middle part of February. And then we go through to week 4, which is the 20th through to 26th of February. And below average heights are up here and also down here. Quite an odd looking chart. Above average heights out there. And again, we're still being placed on the cold side of the jet. That is quite a dip in the jet with a 500 millibar flow. So that could be really very cool and unsettled. These are how the temperature anomalies are looking. The week ahead, coming week, the 30th of January to 5th of February, is overall cooler than average. And then we go through to week 2, which again is a colder than average week, the 6th to the 12th of February. Notice many parts of Europe going very cold in that week as well. So some real wintry weather potentially there in week 2. Then we're through to week 3, which is the 13th to the 19th of February, and that one looking a bit cooler than average too, as it is for most parts of Europe. And then finally, week 4, also coming out cooler than average. All 4 weeks, 20th, 26th February, that one, all 4 weeks of February are coming out colder than average with this CFS run this morning. Now, bear in mind, these charts do chop and change, so that is subject to quite drastic changes. But it is unusual to see CFS going for such a cool temperature signal. So it may well be in for quite a cold February. Probably not, at least initially anyway, from the Scandinavian high and the easterly winds, but from a southerly tracking jet stream, from a dip in the jet, and also potentially pulling down quite cold air from the north and the northwest. And there would be wintry potential with that, as we know. It's a similar pattern to what we had in December and just after Christmas, when there was some snow events going on. So, I mean, the CFS is certainly painting quite a cold and wintry picture, actually, not just for the UK, but for many parts of Europe in February. We'll have to see whether that is that continues to be the case with these CFS runs, because they do change day by day. So it's possible this is just an outlier, and we won't see this again. We'll have a look at the CFS V2 with the JMA on JMA or in JMA Friday, which will be coming up later this week. But quite a cold signal there from the CFS for February. So even though we've backed off the idea of those easy winds, don't be ruling out the chance of more cold and wintry outbreaks and episodes through the course of February. Right, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.